To the Postal Mate webinar, 2023 rate change and other big news. My name is Karen Grant and I'll be your instructor today. Glad to have you here. Let's get started without further ado. First thing off is Karen's rule. I know it's all big of me to put Karen's rule first, but Karen's rule is actually really an important rule that she sees broken way too often. Here's Karen's rule. Do not leave rate change updates in your employees' hands. This is the owner's responsibility. And all too often, I'll have an owner who will call in a panic in the middle of the year and say, I don't know what's happening. I'm not making any money. And I look and they haven't updated properly. They haven't gone through the quick rate setting utility. They might be on old rates. Every year we find stores that are running on old rates. And oh, well, my employee used to do that and she left or he left or I didn't eat. Owner's responsibility. If you have a lot of money sunk in your store, please take ownership of the rate change. If you're not comfortable, if your employee is more techie than you, then do it together, but be there for that, please. Okay. In the update, we're going to get to that. I want you to look at the screen and the screen on the screen on the screen, right? And that's going to be the update. We're going to talk about this, but remember, running the update does not adjust your rates to the new 2023 rates. Running the update does not adjust your rates. That's really important. See that big white thing in the right-hand corner that says update guide? That's very, very important. So running the quick rate setting utility that comes up after the update, that's what sets your rates. Now, we probably see, I don't want to guess at a number, but it's a very big number, much bigger than I'd like. We have well over 3,000 stores. I'm going to say it's over 100, maybe over a couple of hundred stores whose employee has to do the update or does the update or whatever, and they click out of the quick rate setting utility and ignore it. That means their rates are not adjusted. So please, this is why I say this is the owner's responsibility. We have, and the reason this is so important this year, and I'm going a little bit slower on the update, more detail in the update, is guys, we have over 450 new store owners this year using PostalMate. Over 450 new store owners. That's more than ever before. This is their first big rate change, and they really need to hear these details. And many of you, let's face it, you don't do rate change every day, so you probably need a refresher on these details. Step one is you're going to actually run the update. Now, it's important that you follow some basic instructions on that, like following the update guide, rebooting your computers, closing all your PostalMate on all your stations. You're going to do them in order. You're going to start with your master station. You're going to update that. Once that's done, then you can do your auxiliaries. You can do your auxiliaries, by the way, I believe, and somebody will correct me from my team, I hope, but I think you can do them simultaneously, but it must be after the master's completely done. So the master first and then the auxiliaries. If you have more than one update to do, so if you didn't do the previous one, don't get ahead of yourself in doing the updates. And what I mean by that is do your master and then do your auxiliaries, and then do your master again and then do your auxiliaries. If you do it the wrong way, which is do your master and then do your master again and then go to your auxiliaries, there'll be more than one version behind, and then you have to go through all kinds of garbage to get it fixed. It has to be unnetworked. You have to update it individually. Then you have to re-network it. It's a big headache. So make sure you do them in order. Sometimes your antivirus or firewalls will conflict with an update, so it's a good idea to turn those off. But rebooting stations before an update is actually the best way to get a clean update. It really is. Okay. Thank you, Roger. So the next thing is to follow the update guide. And in the update guide, you're going to have two choices, one called option A and one called option B. And a lot of people ignore this, but let me just share with you the first bit of information that's really big for you today. The rate update will be released, unless something goes wrong, will be released today. So it'll be sent to your computer today. You can update as soon as this evening when you're closed, if you would like. You don't have to, but it will be sent to your taskbar. It downloads automatically to your computer, and then you can run that update whenever you want. If you run that update, you have two options in the update guide, option A and option B. Now remember, just running the update does not change your rates. It just simply runs the update and brings that information available to your software. Choosing option A or option B is what updates your rates. So option A is to load all of your rates immediately, and option B is to do it in a time release fashion, which Postomate has built in. Let me explain how those two work. Before I do, we're going to get to those of you who are on Annex brands. You get to skip much of the quick rate setting utility. Please reach out to your Annex brands headquarters if you're new or haven't done it before. They can give you some assistance, but you have an update guide for you to follow as well with that information in it. So here's option A, and that's loading all the rates at once. This is my favorite option. Now let me explain to you why. It's December 21st. Let's say the update happens tonight, and I'd really kind of like to take the 23rd and 24th off, or I don't want to have to worry about it. And UPS update happens on the 27th. And please don't freak out and think that you have to panic and come in early in the morning on the 27th because UPS is making a change and do the update then, or do it the night before. You don't have to. You can change all of your carrier rates all at once. Let me tell you why you'd want to do that. First of all, to avoid all that. But second of all, it raises your rates to the new rates for all of your carriers involved in this rate change, which is everything except for post office, on the day you make those changes. All that means is that you're going to be charging a little bit more for a week or so until those rates actually kick in. You won't get charged the wrong rate by the carrier because Postomate doesn't tell the carrier what to charge you. The carrier weighs and measures your package and determines what it's going to charge you all on your own, all without getting information from Postomate. So you will be charging your customer a little bit more, but you'll be getting billed the old rate. So you're going to actually make more money for a week or two in that time. It won't be a huge amount, but it'll be a little bit. You're going to be charging those rates anyway. So you're just doing it a little bit early and getting the headache out of the way and doing it all at once. That's why I really like option A. And if I had a store again today, I would do option A. So in that, once you do the update, you can go up to File, Carrier Activities, Load 2023 Rates, and then click on all of the above, and that will bring up the quick rate setting utility. You don't have to do that though. Some of you are more exact than I am and prefer to have things done in a timely fashion. For those of you who like that, that's why we've created option B. Option B is date driven. So Postomate works its magic and knows what day, what carriers are releasing an update, or its effective date, if you will. And for this year, we fortunately have two. Sometimes we have three, but this year we have two general times. One is for UPS. They raised their rates this year on December 27th. And the other carriers, all of the other carriers, in fact, raised their rates either January 1st or January 2nd. And because of the holiday, that can be all lumped into one. So you would be doing the quick rate setting utility twice, once for just UPS and once for everybody else. And Postomate will actually bring this line right down here on the bottom of it. That will appear a day or two before the effective date to remind you. And when you're ready, you just click on the blue part and it will take you to the quick rate setting utility automatically to run. Now, if you are a mom and pop, and well, you're all mom and pops, most of you, but if you run your own store and you're the one who opens every morning and you're the one who's going to be doing this, this might work fine for you. But if you have employees that are opening in the morning and you don't want to deal with your employees trying to run this or do something wrong in it, then opt for the other one or advise them not to touch it, one or the other until you get in. Running the update, running the quick rate setting utility should be done when your store is closed. It doesn't take a long time to do. We're going to actually run through it But I don't want you having to deal with it and having a customer interrupt you and then you lose your train of thought and make a wrong choice. So I prefer that you do that when your store is closed. All right. Next. Your next step is running the quick rate setting utility. Now, this is shown for running them all at once. You can see I have all of them checked except for post office, which is in a later, that'll be later in January. We're not worrying about post office right now. But if you chose option B, in that case, you would only select UPS for the first time you run it. And then a few days later, or a week later, when the other carriers do it, then you would have all the other carriers and check all the carriers except for UPS and post office. Easy peasy. So we're going to run through this. And this is how it works. This is the quick rate setting utility. We call it the QRSU. And I can write it, I can't say it. And this pops up and this is what changes your rates. So the next screen looks like this. Now, here's the really cool thing. We have pre-selected for you the most common choices. 95 or 98% of Postalmate stores choose the ones that we have pre-selected. You would only choose something different if you had something unique going on in your store with your rates. So in this case, you can see the top one is pre-selected. You can click next. You can see the top one is pre-selected. This is what keeps your same margin. So if you had 53% on FedEx Ground last year, it'll be 53% on margin this year. Then you click next. Then you get to the surcharges. Now, you have a couple of choices here. You can keep the same margins by dollar, or you can keep the same margins by percent. The one by percent will give you a little bit higher profit margin. So that's the one I prefer. It'll raise your rates just a little bit more, but it's up to you. Keeping the same dollar margins means, well, if I made $1.35 on it last year, I'm going to make $1.35 on it this year. Keeping same percent margins means if I made 40% on it last year, I'm going to make 40% on it this year. Like I said, the percentage one makes you a little bit more money usually. You're gonna select that. Now you can manually change these by clicking in the retail. I'll get my mouse over there so you can see. Over here, if you wanted to change 18 to 24, you could double click on it, enter 24, and you can do that. Please, before you leave this screen, scroll down and make sure that you have nothing in red. Down here, you'll notice that items that are red mean that you are not making any money on them. So it means they're either charging the same as the carrier or they're charging less than the carrier. And again, every year I'll have some poor store that let their employee do this, or they failed to do the quick rate setting utility, and they're getting charged, $5.95 for a surcharge, and they're only charging their customer $4.25 for it. Why are you doing that? That's not the way we roll. So make sure that you go through that and it looks right to you. Once you're done, you're going to click next, and then you're going to go to the add-ons screen. Same principles, same rules. Make sure you scroll through after you've made your selection. Next one is insurance. Same principle, same rules. Make sure you make your selection. Make sure nothing's in red. It shouldn't be in red in this one. This one usually, that would be weird. It would have to be like something new for there to be a red. And then the bottom button says finish. And once you finish, that's it. If you selected option A, you're done until the January rate update comes out for the post office. If you've selected option B, you'll go through the quick rate setting utility again for FedEx and the other carriers, all the non-UPS carriers for the 1st of January. Okay, so here we go. Oh, Laszlo, I want to get to your question, by the way, because the answer is no, and there's a very good reason. So option A, then you're done. Option B, you still have work to do. Over on the left in the little blue Post-it note, you'll see the dates for the different carriers when their update is. Okay, post office rate change will be released. That version will be released on or about January 21st. We do not, you'll notice that this rate update we released really early. I mean, UPS doesn't change until the 27th, but we released on the 21st. For post office, due to some policies and rules, we release very close to the active or effective date, which is January 22nd. So it will be either Saturday the 21st or the evening of Friday the 20th, if I have my dates right. Those are our goals. Now, whether or not that we meet those goals, it always depends on the testing and what happens prior to that. But that is what we aim for the post office. IPS, I want to ask you a question. IPS is our new international package service. It's in PostalMate. You do have to sign up for an account with them. I don't know, I have to tell you, I introduced this in the holiday webinar. And if you missed that, that's okay. You were probably busy, but you can still sign up for it. It's new to our software, and it's really, I was shocked by how many of you actually use IPS and signed up for an account. So I'm going to run a poll. I promised that we would run some polls. So I'm going to run the first poll so that you can kind of see what it's like. So this is an easy one. I'm going to launch this poll, and only those that are watching this live can actually vote on this. Go ahead and you should be able to see this. IPS is a new international carrier in PostMate. Have you signed up with them? And make your selection. International package shipping. So they ship to the Europe and the Philippines. They do have, to Europe, they have the economy and premium, and it's 5 to 8 weeks or 1 to 3 weeks plus travel time to the hub. But for the Philippines, they have a premium service that gets to much of the Philippines in 4 days, which is really, really good. They really specialize in the Philippines. So I'm going to close this poll, and I'm going to show you the results in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and I'm going to share that. So you can see that we have 38% that have signed up with them. Some have shipped. We have another 49% that are going to sign up for them, and 13% of you don't know what it is. So please take a look into that. I don't get any bonus for pushing them. I just want you to make sure to have all the options at your disposal for shipping that you could have. I know from having my own stores that international shipping is pretty expensive. And so having lesser expensive and slower options is always a good thing. You will have some customers that say, oh, but I don't care, put it on a boat. I don't care if it goes through China. I don't care how long it takes. Those are the great customers for this. And then you'll have this other thing happen. You'll say, well, I can have it there in 5 to 8 weeks for $125. And you'll have people say, 5 to 8 weeks? No, don't you have something faster? And then you can immediately move them up to an express service. Well, yes, I have DHL at $195. Oh, when will that get there? That should get there on or about Thursday, pending customs. Oh, that's much better. Okay, I'll do that one. See, you've just upsold it because you had something else. So that way you're actually, I love having options because it really gives you something to aid in your selling. Okay, so there we go on that. And I am going to run some more polls. So we have some ones that are having to do with December. And Lee, I have no idea what you're talking about on that. All right. Next, DHL tier changes. Okay, so one of the changes in this update is DHL. They have changed their tier structure. So in the past, we've actually had in Postmate level 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, level 0 and 1, they had asked us to implement a few years ago, but they never used it. So nobody is a level 0 and nobody is a level 1 today. Level 2, level 3, and level 4 have been available. Level 3 is I would say the majority, but if you don't ship very often, then level 2. So remember, before we get into this, PostalMate doesn't know what your tier level is. The carriers don't give us that information. That's private information for your account with the carriers. So you have to set in PostMate what your tier level is, and then we apply those rates in your system. When your tier level changes, it's up to you to change it in PostMate so that you have correct wholesales. I would say 40% of the time when your bill is not correct, especially if it's off by quarters, dimes, nickels, under $1 or small amounts, it's usually because, and it's consistent on many packages, usually it's because you have the wrong tier level selected in PostalMate. Now, UPS has gone to one tier level for everybody in a franchise and one tier level for everybody not in a franchise. That makes it really, really easy. I am hoping that DHL and FedEx catch on to that, because that's really convenient. But for now, this is what we have. So here's what DHL has done. This is the old, and I've blown it up big so that you can see it. And this is the new. I know, really weird, right? So they've gone from the words level to the names tier. And here's how it works. Postmate's going to do this automatically for you in the update. There is no level 0, so it's going away. There is no level 1, so it's going away. In the new rate program on the right-hand side of the screen, if you are a level 2, you are now going to be a tier 2. Okay? If you are currently a level 3, that will now become a DHL tier 1. Don't hold on to your questions. Hold on. If you are currently a DHL level 4, then the update will change you to a DHL top tier. Now, I know this is terribly confusing, so let me make it a little bit more clear. Tier 2 is a good discount. Tier 1 is a better discount. And top tier is the best discount. So it's not consistent with that, okay? So I'm just gonna go back and make sure that you understand that. Tier 2 is a good discount. Tier 1 is a better than tier 2 discount. And top tier is the best. And there is also an increase in the discounts that you are getting from DHL in this update. I have not looked and scrutinized them. I didn't have time. We got those discounts, or we got those rates yesterday afternoon. We got those rates. So I have not had time to look at and scrutinize to tell you how much better they are, but they are better discounts, and hopefully you'll see that. So make sure that if you're currently a level 3, the update is going to, and I'm going to show you, we're going to work through it on a live PostalMate screen so you can see that. Okay. Integration to UPS Access Point. Many of you actually got on this webinar just to find this out. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, when you currently receive a UPS drop-off, you record it probably in PostalMate, and then PostalMate launches the UPS Access Point website, and you also record it in there. We will be transitioning to where you record it in PostalMate and you never have to open the access point. It will automatically transfer into that. It's in beta right now. We have some stores that are using it, a handful of stores that are in our beta program using it. We are expanding that beta right now, but we are not releasing it general quite yet. And here's why. We're concerned that a huge number of these packages sent to UPS would cause some significant server issues, and that the servers potentially could crash. And during your busy season, we just did not want to have this happen to you. It would have been recoverable. You would have been able to do some things and find them and resubmit them. But when you're running through, hundreds of customers and packages a day trying to make money, the last thing you want is a drop-off problem because a server got overloaded. So we made the tough decision to pause on general release. We're expanding the beta so we can kind of see how this affects the servers. Once we go into general release, we're going to do something very different than we typically do. We actually have the ability to turn it on in your PostalMate right now without you doing an update. So it is something that we can. It's casual. I'm going to say flip a switch. It's more difficult than that, but some things that we can do that will make it available in your PostalMate. It will need some setup. So what we're going to do when we do release this, and my guess is it'll be in January, probably in late January. We're going to send it out in batches of 2 to 300 or 2 to 500, something like that, so we can watch those servers and make sure that nothing is crashing and what have you. I'm you will find out if it's available to you via email. That is the only way. Do not contact support. They don't know. There is no way for our support team to look in somewhere that we have and find out. The only way you will know if it's available to you is by watching your emails. When we send you an email, we'll make sure that you know it's available, and we will have instructions in that email on how to make that turn on in your store. So again, my guess is we'll start in late January. We should have everybody on board if everything goes well by early to mid-March. So we're looking at a 6-week or so rollout, 6 to 8 week rollout if everything works well on that. And it's not again, if it crashes, it's recoverable, but I don't want to have 500 stores have to recover tracking numbers and deal with it. So once we're sure the servers and everything's good, this is going to, the people who are on beta absolutely love it. They are absolutely screaming with joy at how easy this is and how it makes their life so much easier. So I'm sorry that we couldn't have it in time for the holidays, but it's kind of one of those better safe than sorry. We don't like doing anything new at the holidays when you guys are busy. So I hope you appreciate and respect that. All right, so I'm going to run a quick, oh, I have one more thing. This is what the setup screen looks like when it comes up. You will need your access point ID number, which is your U number. So having that or knowing where that is, that's in your access point. You can look it up in there. Oh, and I did tell you that email addresses is how you're going to, email is how you're going to find out about this. Make sure that we have your correct email. Some of you have changed emails. Some of you have more than one email. We only need one email. It needs to be a good email. And we have found that our email, the company that we use to send emails, is one of the largest in the world, certainly one of the largest in the country. But they blacklist certain types of emails. And so we have found that a bunch of you are not getting our emails. And it's because the email you have supplied us is info@mailandmore.com or general or manager at. See all these ones down here at the bottom ones. See all of these at the bottom in white? Those are the kinds of ones that they do not allow, that they blacklist. So it needs to be somebody's name at your domain.com, or if you use something general like Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, hopefully not Hotmail anymore and AOL. I know people actually still do use those, but make sure that we have something that doesn't have one of these bottom things on it, and that will help. If you want to update your email address, please email our support team, which is support@pcsynergy.com. Give them your store serial number, your store name and address with zip code, and then please change my store email address to, and then type it in. Now, if you are not the owner, don't do that unless you really have permission from the owner, because we really need it to be, I know that you're the employee maybe who's there all the time, but we need the owner's email. We need him or her involved, please, in that. So we don't want it to go to an employee who, 7 months from now could be working somewhere else, and then the owner never be able to get those emails. So please respect that. I'm going to run a couple of polls now, and then we're going to get to some Q&A, and I have a couple of good questions that came up. But let's see here. See if I can get to, okay, where are these? Polls. Come on, polls. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is one that you guys always like to know. So we ran this last year, and I think it really helped a lot of people out. This is for stores that are open, have been open 5 years or more, okay? If your store has been open 5 years or more, if your store has been open less than that, just hold off. I've got one for you too. So these are only for stores that are open 5 years or more. It could be through different owners, that's okay, but the store has actually been open 5 years or more. Go ahead and answer this, and I'll be closing this poll in 5, and I'll share it, 4, 3, and I don't see any personal information, so 2, 1. Okay, here we go. I will share this. So here's the information, and it's not bad. So we had 13% biggest ever, 32% about the same as last year, which was a pretty good year. 24% was big, but lower, not as much as last year. And that's kind of what I expected. 14% back to pre-COVID and 17% lower than pre-COVID, and you're sad. So I'm sad for you too. So we need to see what else we can do to help you to grow. But overall, these numbers aren't bad. I know I talked to one store who last year they moved their location and they built a beautiful, I mean, drop dead gorgeous. One day I'll do a webinar and I'll have some of their pictures. And they had a $9,000 day on one of the last week. That's a big day. You know, $9,000. I mean, that's a big day. So, okay. I promised to say a poll for another one. So hang on here. I'm going to share one more. This is for stores that have been open less than 5 years. So less than 5 years. And I'm going to, and I don't see the results by store, so I only see the results as a whole. So please don't be shy. Nobody's going to know who you are. So collecting responses, we're going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and I will share this. So for our newer stores, they generally weren't as busy as they thought. Although I would say it's almost half and half, isn't it? It's very close to half and half, a little bit more about what they expected or better. And then a little less than that was less busy than they thought. So this less busy than I thought deal, you need more door swings. So sometimes the hardest part about growing a store is just getting people in. It's not your prices. It's not how pretty you are. It's not, how charming you are. It's getting them in the front door, because they'll never know how wonderful you are until they get in the front door. And that's what I see in this 45%. Okay, I have a couple more polls I think you'll be interested in. First, we'll start with this one. And this is kind of for me, so I can focus webinars, but if you would, please, you offer the following shippers in your store. And this, you can select more than one on this. You should be able to. I think I set it up right so that you can select multiples. So, and I would love to say that all of you have all of them, but certainly should have UPS, FedEx, and post office pretty much at all of them. Some of you just live in an area where you don't do a lot of international. Okay, closing this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll share this as well. So that is a really good response. And I can tell you that it's lovely to see this. We are truly a multi-carrier group of people, and that's really good to see. I'm thrilled with that. Following on the heels of this, here's one that you'll really like. This December, this is what you feel, and this is packages, not letters and envelopes. This is actual packages. This December, I shipped the most packages with, and then let's list your carriers. And this is, I have a secret I'm going to share with you once this poll is done. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's the result of this poll. And here's the secret. 3 years ago, it was exactly the reverse of this. Exactly the reverse of this. Yeah. So we have changed our focus in this industry substantially. And I find that very, very interesting. Okay, one last poll. You're going to like this one because this helps you to know where to grow. The number one largest profit center in my store is. And we can expect shipping because let's face it, we're in the shipping industry, right? But I know that the other profit centers are going to be very interesting to you. Okay, closing this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll share this. And the reason I brought this up and I wanted to share this with you is to show how diverse this industry is, that if you don't have some print in your store, you're probably missing out. If you don't have mailboxes in your store, you might be missing out. It's hard to rent mailboxes. Please don't think that it's not. You're not going to buy 100 mailboxes and have them rented by this time next year. If you buy 100 mailboxes, you might have 15 rented by this time next year. It is that hard to get mailboxes rented. But once you do, they are pure profit. It only takes a little bit of time each day to load those mailboxes, and it's pure profit. So it is really, really nice to have. I will also share this industry secret with you. The more mailboxes you have in your store, the more you will rent. And here's why. You look like you're serious about mailboxes, and it makes people trust in your mailbox rental more. Isn't that interesting? One of the interesting things is the 2% retail. And retail, I only allowed one response in this. So many of you do a lot of retail. For us to say that 2% of everybody watching today do more in retail than they do in shipping tells you that you need to have a prominent retail center in your store, that it's something that works in this industry. It needs to be complementary, but having retail in your front lobby is important. And then something else, and I don't have an opportunity to find out what that is now, but we'll investigate that in the future. Okay, so that's all of my polls today. I am going to get to some questions, and let's see here, bear with me just a minute while I work around this. So we have our Q&A right now, and go ahead and type those in. It's a little bit hard to manage. We did have well over 900 people sign up for this webinar. So dealing with all of the questions can be a little onerous, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to go back to a question that I was asked. Laszlo asked it, and it's something that comes up periodically, so I'll just put it out there. He asked if Postmate can add Pirate Ship as one of the shipping options in Postmate. And Pirate Ship's actually a company with a shipping software. And for UPS, FedEx, and DHL, you are not allowed to use Pirate Ship at all. Okay, you are required to use your authorized accounts for shipping, for retail shipping. Pirate Ship and ShipStation and all those other softwares out there that have shipping available to you, and they advertise they have these wonderful, beautiful low rates and all that stuff. That's not something you're allowed to use in retail shipping according to the carriers. So no, we will never be able to have, unless the rules change with the carriers, we would never be able to have something like that. Where, and with most of those, you actually use ship off of their account and they bill you. They have your credit card on file or whatever, and they actually bill you. And what they do is they get a single account with the carrier where they get deep discounts, but you're not allowed to use that in retail shipping. What we are is retail shipping. The difference between retail shipping and regular shipping is as follows. If I make a necklace and I sell it, that's regular shipping. And I sell it to somebody in New York and I have to ship it to them. I can ship with Pirate Ship. I can ship with ShipStation. I can ship with any of these other softwares. And I can have an account with them and I can get discounts and I can do that because I am not selling shipping. I'm selling a necklace and shipping it to them. Yes, they may have to pay for shipping in the end, but my business is not selling shipping. My business is selling necklaces. That's the difference. In your store, you are reselling shipping. And so you have to use retail accounts for that. Okay. Okay. Did it do? If you signed up for IPS and it didn't take, please call IPS. They can work with you. They were, to say the least, they were overwhelmed by the number of people who tried to sign up right away for IPS account. But that's been a couple weeks ago now. I think that I want to say it was, early December that was released. So they've worked out any issues. So you can just contact them and get it straightened out, and you can get your account set up with them. Let's see. Can top 100 be shippers? Can top 100 shippers be moved to the new single IP UPS? I wish we could. No, it can't be worked out like that. I don't know the answer to that, Manoli. That's new information to me. Sorry, I'm not going to repeat questions I don't have answers for. IPS is internationalpackageshipping.com. That sounds correct to me. Yes, Rick. Can you tell me when we will be able to scan those FedEx QR codes? We receive them daily. Good question, Allison. We will be able to scan the FedEx QR codes as soon as FedEx releases the ability for us to send data to their API on that. It's all in FedEx's hands. So what happens is they create an API that allows us to scan it and send it to them, so it actually creates a label, gives information to them. They give that information to us, to our development team, and say, okay, we're ready. And so then we develop the basically, it's kind of like plugging in, you know. So they give us this, and we have to develop this and make it work together. It would take us, I won't say no time at all. It would take us a short development time to create our part that fits into their part. But they have to create their part first, so we know what to plug in, right? This is APIs, and that's how that works. So it is on their plate. I would love to tell you that we have information that's coming soon. I don't. They've been promising us this for, I'm going to say, a couple of years now, because we've known, I know that there was discussions about it at least 4 years ago, and maybe longer ago. So they're more prevalent. 4 years ago, we didn't hardly see them. Now you see them every day. So hopefully it's coming soon. When you see the people at FedEx at the expo and different events, tell them you want it. Bug them about it. That helps. That helps a lot. Okay. How do you confirm what tier level you're on with the carriers? Each of the carriers has a specific way. So FedEx has this math thing you can work out. It's almost easier to look at your bill and say, okay, are my rates matching or are they not matching? Oh, and I'm going to tell you a secret too. It's a FedEx secret. Don't let me forget. If your bills are matching generally, if many of them are spot on, then you're probably set at the right tier level. If you're off a little bit, then you might want to just adjust it by one and test it. You can contact the carrier. Your carrier should be able to supply you with the tier level. They just don't like to. But DHL and FedEx should be able to tell you what your tier level is. Here's the FedEx secret. FedEx, I'm going to go ask you, if you are not in the habit of reconciling your carrier bills, especially with FedEx, I'm going to ask you to go back, and you don't have to reconcile every single one. Go back and at least spot check at least 2 or 3 packages on every bill for the last 8 months if you don't do it regularly. And here's why. We saw some issues that FedEx Billing had where they were not applying your discounts and or were not applying the FASC program to your accounts. And so we have a number of stores that reached out and said, hey, my bills aren't anywhere close to what Postmate says they are. Is Postmate wrong? No, Postmate was right. The FedEx billing system had a glitch in it. It did not affect everybody. I do not know how widespread it is or was. I haven't seen much of it lately, so I do believe it's corrected, but at least spot check your bills going back to as far as May. I can tell you that it happened to well over 100 stores to my knowledge. If I saw 100 stores or know of 100 stores, chances are there's quite a few more out there. So make sure that you do go back and spot check those bills and make sure that you were billed correctly. What is retail I'm talking about? You are retail shippers, meaning you sell shipping to the public. That's retail. Oh, and if it was the poll, retail supplies means like I sell candles and greeting cards and things like that out in my lobby. Sorry. You don't get to get on the We already have selected, or we already have provided enough beta testers for the UPS. I know you'd love to join it, but we already have that. IPS currently tracking is not available through Postmate, so you do have to go on their website to track it. We will be adding tracking in Postmate. There was a real rush to get that IPS out to you before the holidays, and so we skipped doing the tracking within Postmate for that. So that's why you can't track it in Postmate. It'll be added later. But I will tell you, I have seen the tracking on their website. Oh, they're like the picture perfect model of what tracking should look like for all the carriers. So one package going to the Philippines might have 20 scans and all of them appear on the tracking. It's lovely. You can see where it is almost at any moment in time over the transportation days. So it's really, really good, very comprehensive. Sean, I don't know the answer to that. I haven't looked at post office yet. Will UPS authorized shippers be able to take or check in Amazon returns at some point? I don't know the answer to that. My guess is unless somebody works out a program with UPS to do that, the answer is going to be no. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to take a poll on this in the future webinar. But if Amazon came to you, and they are doing this to some, but if they came to you and said, look, we'll let you take all the Amazon QR codes, and we'll let you take Amazon drop-offs, and we'll let you take Amazon consolidation, which is where they just bring in the shirt with no box and you have to consolidate it and do work. But you're responsible for the item, you're responsible for scanning it, you're responsible for putting it in the right box, and you're responsible for, us making sure that we have somebody to come out and pick it up and all these other things. And for all of that, we're going to give you $0. Would you be interested in that program? Because right now, that's kind of what it looks like. They think that the benefit to you is all the new people that come in your store. And if you look at the UPS stores, they are so overwhelmed by Amazon packages, it literally takes up 300 square feet of their store space and almost at least a full-time employee to scan all those in. So if that's something that you're interested in, then okay. But most of the stores I talk to say, no way. I mean, I'd have to get some compensation. Why would I do it for free? For those that need store swings, then I'd say, yeah, that's a thing. Why is that audience view? You don't really have that audience view, do you? Show screen. That's horrible. Oh, that was ugly. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's the answer on that. And I'm going to get a whole bunch of answers here in a minute. We opened our store in June 2022 and we are slow. Honestly, is this normal? Yes, absolutely. Your first Christmas is, I always say, a new store starts making a profit after their second Christmas. That's kind of Karen's philosophy if you do everything right. Now, it's certainly possible to do it sooner than that with all the ducks in the row, your perfect location, perfect place, perfect environment. It is certainly possible to make a profit sooner than that. But I'd say what is typical in doing a pretty good, darn good job is you make a profit after your second Christmas. Now, I'm not saying you're going to lose a lot of money this year, but your Christmas has become, and I apologize for not being secular on this, but we know that Christmas is what brings in our business. So I'm going to address it as that. The Christmas is so important because it's those people, they will find you. They didn't know you were there before. They will find you and they will come. Those will be your customers for the next 12 months. And then next Christmas, you'll bring in even more new ones that didn't know you were there. And that usually is enough to bump you over the edge. So if you're new, you should be prepared. And business analysts will always tell you in a new business, you should plan on 18 months of before you break even. That's very common. So get used to that. And make sure that you follow up with those people, treat them really golden. You should be so amazing, over the top customer service to those people. Let's see. Do we expect, this is kind of along the same lines, FedEx and UPS to ever allow independents to scan and print the QR codes? That's not, for UPS, I think you're meaning the Amazon ones, and that's up to Amazon, not UPS. UPS seems to have a flat rate service that's not advertised. They had a Chris had a customer show this flat rate. That is a true statement. They do have a flat rate. They don't, that is not well advertised. It is not available in the ASO program. Julie Peterson over at UPS, when that came out, and that was more than a year ago now, we asked if that was something they were going to add to the ASO program, and the answer was no. Okay, some people are asking my opinion, and I don't think my opinion is very important, so I'm not going to answer some of those questions. I apologize. Oh, let's go to Postomate really quickly. I still have most of you on here. I'm going to actually, bear with me. Where's my mouse? Mouse. My mouse is hiding. There it is. Ah, there we go. I've got Postomate updated right now, and we're going to go through and do the rate update for all the carriers. And then I'm going to show you the DHL tier level change. So this is before running the quick rate setting utility. So we're going to go Tools, Postomate Settings. Sorry, I just updated this. Carrier Setup, DHL, and see, this has the old group, level 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I'm going to, and I happen to be set to a level 3 right now. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to close that. And we're going to do the quick rate setting utility for all of the carriers. I'm going to go to File, Carrier Activities, Load 2023 Rates, all of the above. And it's going to pop up, and it's going to do all of them here. So it's loading them. Now the DHL published rates and rules have been updated. That changed that tier chart. Okay, and it's going to go through it. It's going to do all the carriers. So we're just going to bear with it for a second here. Lets you know the progress here by doing each carrier. So bear with it. There's a lot of them. And then we're going to go through the quick rate setting utility together. And you're going to see how darn easy it is. And it's so important to not skip it. Okay, so this is the quick rate setting utility. I'm going to click on FedEx Freight Box 2, even though I don't use it, just so it's current. And I'm going to click on the next. So you can see everything is checked here except for post office. Next. I'm going to leave it at this one. Next. I'm going to leave it at this one. Next. Now, on this one, I'm going to keep the same margins. Click. Yep. And it's going to adjust them. Now, this one is still red. And the reason it's red is because, as I said earlier, it'll be red if you are not making a profit on it. And you can see it's the same as my wholesale. So this is a new surcharge. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change it to, oh, let's say $175. There we go. And so you can see, and I remember I told you to scroll down and make sure that there's no red. You're going to need to scroll. And there's a lot of them, folks. There's a ton of surcharges now. Oh, there's some in red again. See, there's some at the bottom. Look at all these. So I would go through and manually adjust these. And again, these are new ones or ones that just need, I didn't have a profit set. So I would go through and adjust these, and you can just, it's easy to do. I'm just making up numbers right now. All right. All right, and then click the next button. Same thing, we're going to click on same percent margins, yes. And then I would scroll through and look for any red and make those adjustments just like I did for surcharges. Then I would click next. Again, I'm going to keep same margins by percent. Yes. Scroll through and make sure that it's all nothing's in red, and then finish, and I'm done. Okay. So I wanted you to see how easy that is. Now we're going to go back to that DHL tier chart and look at it again, and you're going to see the change. And I was a level 3, remember? And according to my webinar, I should now be set to a tier 1 because it does that weird thing, right? So let's go see carrier setup, DHL. Look at that, tier 1. See that? So it did the correct thing. I'll show you what it looks like in here. There you go. So Postalmate takes care of those changes for you. Yay! Don't we love it when it's easy? We love it when it's easy. Okay. Yeah, I know, Holger, but the UPS QR codes are an Amazon program. So I get that it's through UPS, but it's not a UPS program. It is an Amazon program. And so in order to get in that program, we have to get in with Amazon. And honestly, I mean, one-on-one, we're not going to be able to do it. It's going to take a group of us. And I can tell you that industry professionals are looking at this. Anybody with a big group has been trying or it has been in contact with Amazon trying to get this. The problem is for Amazon is they're doing it currently with very little cost, and they don't know why they should have to increase their costs on it. Because, for example, Kohl's takes those for free. Kohl's doesn't get a red cent on them. Yes, Susan, absolutely. Okay. Manoli, that is sort of true, but not really. Those are actually UPS drop-offs, and so that they don't get they aren't getting that money from Amazon. They're getting it from UPS because it's a drop-off. That's their drop-off compensation. So we're not going to get into that because I don't want to get into arguments here because I agree with you all. And when I say arguments, I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with the fact that we should all be able to do this Amazon program and Amazon should pay us. But it's you and me talking about that isn't going to make it happen. So I don't want to be unfruitful here. Okay. I had mentioned I did not plan on updates or anything until next year. I'm not sure what on. The updates next year, there will be an update for the USPS in January. That's the next update as far as I'm aware, unless something blows up in this update, and this update looks really good. Our next update will be for January USPS rate change. And then we'll have some feature updates later in the year. A few of the carriers have asked us to do some things. They always do. So, and this is a good question. How are people handling setting prices on USPS flat rate? Typically, I see, and it's different for every store, but typically I see 2 or 3, or let me rephrase that, $2 to $5 extra on the envelopes and $4 to $8 extra on the boxes. But that varies widely. I have stores that for the envelope will charge $16, $18 for a priority mail envelope, and you might be choking at that. I will say this, flat rate is something the customer often knows the price of. So if you're going to have a lower margin on something, that would be it. And by the way, I would never, ever in my lobby display flat rate envelopes and boxes. If people want that, let them bring in their own. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have them available. There will be times where you will need them and you will use them, and that you'll decide what your customer might ask about it and you actually sell that service. I'm saying don't plant that idea in their head if you're making less profit on that, right? So I would not have those showing up in my lobby. Mohammed, that would be your mailbox question. That would be on your credit card company system. So right now, no. QR codes are evil, Paul says. I agree, they are evil. Once we can do them, if we ever get to that point, they won't be so evil anymore. But for now, they're evil. And okay, it looks like now I know I skipped a bunch, and I have several hundred people on currently and several hundred in the questions, and I'm sorry that if I missed your question. Is our margin applied to wholesale or published rate? That is a tough question. Usually it's on wholesale. I will give you the following information about some changes that are coming in Postmate in the next 18 months. We are moving to dynamic rating, and I mentioned this in the holiday webinar, and I'm going to start mentioning it more often so that you can get ready for it. And what's that? Right now, all the rates are stored in your program. That's kind of the old-fashioned way to do things. Today's modern shipping softwares don't store rates in your system. They go out and get the rates from the carrier and bring it back to you. That's how we will be moving forward. Now, it's not going to be in January. It's not going to be in February. Sometime, and it's going to start carrier by carrier. And I'm guessing that DHL will be the first. Actually, IPS is the first that we do this with. But of the current carriers or the older carriers, DHL will be the first. And what will happen is that you will set in Postmate what your margin is over wholesale, because there won't be any published to talk about anymore. Postmate will not have any rates stored in it. It will only have your margin stored in it. And it will go, when you ship a package to, let's say, Brazil, it gets sent, the information gets sent to DHL. DHL supplies the rate for your account. So it's always correct as long as you've put in the right information. That comes back to Postmate behind the scenes. It adds the margin you have listed in Postmate and brings that to the rate comparison screen. So that being said, you always have the correct rates. You never have to worry about tier changes. And then rate updates will be mostly a thing of the past. The only thing we'll have to do for rate updates like this that we're doing now is if there's a new surcharge or something. So it will largely make rating so much easier, so much more accurate, but it will mean a mindset change for you at your level. You will only be supplied wholesales from the carriers, and so all the margins will be wholesale. So we need to start talking about we generally in the past have set against wholesale for most carriers, but that needs to be the way we think about it from this point forward. Lisa, same thing as now. If a carrier is down and you can't get a label. It doesn't matter whether you're on dynamic rating or not. You can't get a label if the carrier's down. So in this world, and I'm sorry to say it, internet and power is required. So if you need to have a backup system, if you're in an area that is plagued by storms or bad internet and utilities, you need to have a backup system in place. And that can be a laptop with a hotspot. Absolutely. So you can, there are ways. Karen, okay. I missed a lot. Vic, that would require everybody use the same credit card system, so not at this time. All right, so I think I've gotten through most of the questions. I appreciate you guys all staying on board. If I haven't said it before, and I have, but I'm going to say it again. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate during December. I also wish you and your family the very best through the new year and hope that 2023 is as wonderful for you as I hope it is for me. God bless you all. Love you all. Bye-bye. Take care.